What's going on? It's Astronaut H, and this is the What More Do You Want Network. Now, in this video, I will be discussing tonight's game between the Chicago Bulls and San Antonio Spurs, and of course, this is my Bulls report. Now, the Chicago Bulls are coming off of, some of their best basketball being played collectively as a unit. You look at these wins that they have, put together, whether it's the game against the Milwaukee Bucks in overtime, whether you look at the game versus the Charlotte Hornets, or whether you look at the game versus the New Orleans Pelicans. These Chicago Bulls have been playing with a lot of heart. They've been looking more together. They look more like a unit. This actual team is surprising me, to say the least, because as a fan, the way the season began, out the stumbling blocks, you losing, you getting blown out, and it just doesn't look good. The rumor mill is swirling around the team, who's going to be there, who isn't, and things like that. Now, with Zach LaVine being out for an extended period of time now, I'm hearing his injury is not something that is going to be recovered from in the close and immediate future. Is looking like a 3 to 4 week type of situation. This team, still with formidable all-stars. You still have Vucevic. You still have DeMar DeRozan. You have young emerging players like a Kobe White. You have Alex Caruso. So this team still has talent. It's just they don't have that blockbuster, type of player. And we all know what Zach LaVine is capable of. Now, on the other hand, for the San Antonio Spurs, their season just has been, to say the least, dreadful. To put it into layman's terms, especially over the course of the last 16 games, which they've lost 16 games in a row, this team is just one that we know what Victor Wembanyama can be, right? The guy is absolutely incredible when watching him on the basketball floor, and I don't think that's their problem. They're young. They still have to figure out ways to actually be able to win games. And I think that's their problem. They'll be in games early and then they'll find a way to lose late. Now, in this game, honestly, the San Antonio Spurs looked like the more ramped up team. They looked like the team that was more poised. They looked like the team that wanted this win more than the Chicago Bulls, because it was really predicated on their shooting more than anything. The Spurs were getting their open threes, and that's something that always hurts the Bulls. Teams that are able to make and take a lot of threes and knock them down. And that's what the San Antonio Spurs were able to do early on in this game, especially getting to the rim, driving, kicking, things like that. You seen Victor just obliterating the rebounds. He had, I believe, at one point in the first quarter, he did have 8 rebounds. It was just one of those games where I sat back and I said, if the Bulls allow the Spurs to run them out of the gym, that's just something that cannot happen and should not happen. But in the first quarter, that was the tell story. You seen a Bulls team that just, in my opinion, they just weren't ramped up enough in the actual beginning of the game. If you go back and you watch the tape and you watch how the Bulls just weren't making shots, weren't executing, weren't getting what they wanted offensively early on. That's the reason why the San Antonio Spurs had a 9-point lead after the first quarter at 33-24. Now in the second quarter, you pretty much seen the same thing, but the Bulls offensively started getting something going. You started seeing Kobe White. You started seeing Torrey Craig. DeMar DeRozan really didn't have a good first half, but Vucevic was making up for things like that. You also seen Javon Carter. So the Bulls offense started to show up in the second quarter, but they were still down at half. Letting the Spurs put up 63 points in the first half was something that I'm sure Billy Donovan spoke to at half, because you cannot allow a team to get wiggle room to be able to, stay afloat throughout a course of a game, because regardless if they're a young team or not, the San Antonio Spurs still have professional basketball players. You know, whether you look at them and say, well, they're just not good. No, they still have professional basketball players with pride. So for the Bulls in the second half of the game, this is where you seen their offense start to come along. And in the third quarter, the Chicago Bulls were able to put up 35 points. And like I said, when DeRozan wasn't having so much of a good half, he started to pick his spots. He started to get where he needed to be. Another player that has quietly emerged over the course of the past 4 games is Patrick Williams. I'm not the biggest Patrick Williams fan, but you have to applaud what he's brought in his game to, the course of the last week, I would say. I know he's hearing the rumblings about people wanting him gone and things like that. And it's a true statement, because the guy was inconsistent coming off the bench. But again, when you don't have a Zach LaVine, you have to find ways to get that offense from other, avenues offensively on a team. So again, like I said, guys like Kobe White, guys like Ayo Dosunmu, guys like Patrick Williams have to all come and be ready to play and be ready to, own up on their in the moment, When you look at the fourth quarter, Chicago Bulls did pretty much the same. 34 points in the fourth quarter to the San Antonio Spurs 29. And the Chicago Bulls found a way, to get this win, especially late. They pulled away from the Spurs and won this game by a final score of 121-112. The Chicago Bulls have now won 4 games in a row, which boasts their record to 9-14, still under 500. The San Antonio Spurs are a woeful 3-18 on the regular season. And as I look over the box score for tonight's game, the high man for the Chicago Bulls was Kobe White with 24 points. He did go 9 of 15 from the field. Victor Wembanyama with a 21 point and 20 rebound game. You see Vucevic with 16 rebounds himself. DeMar DeRozan, who's been efficiently passing the ball, had another performance of double-digit assists. And Trey Jones was the high man for the San Antonio Spurs with 9 assists for himself. As I look over the entire box score, you got 4 players from Chicago with over 20 points 20 points or more. You had Patrick Williams with 20, Vucevic with 21, Kobe White with 24. Torrey Craig hit a lot of big threes, did have 16 points off the bench. As for the San Antonio Spurs, like I said, Victor Wembanyama with 21 points and 20 rebounds. You've seen Kelvin Johnson with 20, Branham with 10, Trey Jones with 18 points, 9 assists, Zach Collins with 9 rebounds, 12 points. McDermott, who hit a few big threes too, did in the game with 9. But the Chicago Bulls find themselves on the winning end of this basketball game. Do have a few days off before going. I believe their next game, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to get this wrong, but they do have a few days off before going on the road and facing off versus a very tough Milwaukee Bucks team, and then facing off versus the Denver Nuggets. So it's not going to get any easier, but these next 2 games, which will be back-to-backs, it's going to be tough. You won't have Zach LaVine. I seen Alex Caruso was dealing with a foot thing towards the tail end of this game. So again, man, hopefully, all hands will be on deck. We know we won't have Zach LaVine, but hopefully Alex Caruso will play Monday, and we'll see, man. This NBA. This Chicago Bulls team has been one that, has been more exciting as we come into the last, few games. Hopefully they can keep it up, keep the streak going. It's not going to be easy facing off against the Bucks. Giannis, Dame, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, things like that. It's going to be tough. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Chicago Bulls fans, San Antonio Spurs fans, or if this is just your first time tuning into this channel, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can know anytime a video is being uploaded to this channel. It's Astronaut H. This is the What More Do You Want Network, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.